Hey, comrades. Hope you're all doing well. We're on our next journey, Chapter 10, Comrade. I know, not me, Comrade. That's literally the name of the chapter, Comrade. Of Nikke Goddess of Victory. And so when last we left the counters and ourselves, we were going to team up with Elysian's top groups, top squad, Absolute, and head out. Yeah, that's her name's right. Yeah. And head out to Area H, where we're going to check out, try to find some heretic parts and see what's going on with all that, so that we can get a better understanding of heretics, what makes them tick, and if Vapis has anything to do with it. So it's time for a journal operation. And to start off, it's awkward. Then all of a sudden, Yunhua and Ainz really get into it with each other. And at some point, they just fight, argue. Anwar shoots at Ainz's feet, and then Ainz blows up. And then at some point, Vesti starts laughing. She thinks it's hilarious that someone's standing up to Yunhua, and she's like, please, master, teach me your ways. At some point, Vesti also asks Rappy about the memory wipes, and then she's like, "No, my wipe didn't get my memory didn't get wiped." Vesti cries, and she's so happy she starts to remember them. And then Emma tests Rappy because she's like, "I don't know if I believe you. Where did we first meet?" And then Rappy's like, "In the shower." And then Emma's like, "What did I ask for?" And Rappy's like, "I plead the fifth." Emma laughs, and then Neon's like, "No, what'd you talk about?" And Rappy's like, "Shut it down, Neon," because we're curious too. And the whole time, all this arguing and chit-chatting and crazy shower sex stories and whatnot is going on. Shifty's like, "Hey, guys. And finally Ainz is like, "Sayun, shut the fuck up." And Shifty's like, "That's not me. I was on a trip. I didn't know what was going on." And Ainz is like, "I don't know. I'm a little skeptical." But then Rappy finally shuts it all the fuck down and tells Shifty, "All right, let's get this started." Shifty reviews the mission in case we forgot. So we go to Area H, get the heretic fragments. It was completely off limits because after the heretic got destroyed by Absolute and Mattis, Missilis's top squad, there was a fire that burned for 3 months. Why? I don't know. Maybe natural gas. Either way, the fire is now gone. At that point, Yunhua and Ainz continue to bicker some more, and then Emma reveals that even the combined might of Absolute and Mattis couldn't beat the heretic. They were fighting, and it looks like they were about to lose, and then lightning struck the heretic, her. So they won. And Yunhua was pissed that she revealed this, and so her and Ainz sass each other some more, and then Rappy's like, "God damn, can you people please stop?" Yunhua flips out at Rappy and then storms off. And then, so this is when Vesti approaches Ainz and is like, "Hey, can you teach me how to talk back?" And Ainz is like, "What?" And she's like, "You're so great. I love you. Can you please teach me how to talk back to people and be more assertive?" And Ainz is like, "Yeah, hell yeah, let's do this." And what about Yunhua? Do you don't think she's going to do anything crazy? And Vesti's like, "Oh, I'm not concerned. I am much stronger than Yunhua." And then Ainz is like, question mark. And then Shifty's like, "Oh, there's raptures coming." And Vesti's like, "Okay, Peehee, give me a second. I'll go take care of it." And she runs off to deal with it all by herself. At that point, Ainz is like, "Hey, wait up." And then Emma's like, No, she'll be fine. She's very, very strong. I think I mentioned this when I talked about her Urban story. Vesti is she is the most powerful, by lore, not by actually playing the game. She's the most powerful Elysian Nikke, she's the number one, if not one of the most powerful Nikkes in the whole arc. So she can just go fucking do this all by herself, which is super adorable because she's a cute little thing. Let's see. Okay, after Vesti returns, Ainz starts teaching her how to stand up for herself. They whisper a bit. At some point, Yunhua comes over and shouts at everyone. And then Ainz is like, "Go ahead, Vesti." And Vesti's like, "Oh yeah? Why don't you go back to the itty bitty titty committee?" And then Yunhua's like, "The fuck?" So she yells some more and storms off. And Vesti's like, "I don't think that agreed." And Ainz is like, "Yeah, I thought that would be a lot more. It would do a lot more than it actually did." Emma chases after Yunhua, and then Yunhua's like, "Is that true? Is this or something about the situation?" Emma's like, "Oh yeah," or "What about the situation? Can you give me the honest take on the situation?" I think it's something like that. And then Emma's like, "Oh yeah, so the counters are surprisingly strong. They're easily in the top 10% of all Nikke squads." And then Yunhua's like, "No," and she gets very embarrassed. She's like, "The other thing." And then Emma giggles because she's got giant knockers. It states that, "I'm gonna have to feel them to know for sure." And then Yunhua gets super embarrassed again and gets ripped off. Emma's such a perv. Anyway, later, Emma and Neon are talking. Neon likes Emma's gun. She's like, "Oh yeah, I chose it because of firepower." And Neon's like, "Oh, I love this." And then they start talking about firepower and and then Emma's like, "Well, what can you teach me more? What can you teach me about firepower?" And then Neon's like, "It begins in your heart," or in the mind, and grows outwards. And Emma's like, At that point, Shifty reaches out to us. to us specifically, and it's like, hey, you being awfully quiet. And we're like, yeah, it's because we're thinking. And then Shifty's like, about Emma. And we're like, what? No, what? Because we definitely fucked Emma. So Shifty mentions that, oh, I understand. We are an adult after all. And the rest were about to correct her that that's not actually what we're thinking about right now. We noticed that Yunra and Rappy have started using hand signals very quickly, and that they've kind of like sunk back in, or not sunk, but like synced back up like they used to be, obviously, when they were a squad together and working together. And that they communicate that there's 3 individuals approaching, or like kind of see off in the distance. They have weapons, but they're like, no, let's just leave them alone and not bother them. Let's just kind of keep an eye out for them. A bit later, it's getting late, and we're setting up camp. And Yunwa's passing out instructions, sends the counters off to get set decoys, except for Rappy. Ainz badgers her a little bit, which is, making her even more furious. Vesti loves it. And then Yunwa's like, go now. And Ainz is like, yeah, whatever. And so her and Neon go off to set up the decoys. Yunwa then insists that Rappy stays behind, as I just said. You're going to help kind of check the parameters. And once Ainz and Neon are gone, Yunwa starts getting after it with Rappy. Why did you leave? Why didn't you tell anybody? And then Rappy's like, well, remember that mission that we were on with like the train or something to protect the Ark? Or no, there was a bunch of flying raptors that were coming in. We had to protect the Ark. At that point, I threw a grenade and it killed a human being. And as I was standing there watching them die, all I could think about was like, man, I really don't want to do the paperwork for this person's death. And at that point, she's like, I need a break. I need to get my head straight. And so she left. She talked to Ingrid and was like, I need a break. I can't be doing this anymore right now. And then Yuna was like, I don't give a fuck that you needed a break. Why didn't you tell anybody? I thought we were friends. And then Rappy's like, we are friends. I view everyone in Absolute as my friend. And she's like, that's some all bullshit. Friends don't just bounce without saying anything. And right as she's like really getting heated up about it, Aliens and Neon show back up. And they're like, what's going on? Did you set all the decoys? And they're like, yeah, but we found something else. And at that point, Neon and Ainz drop the 3 individuals that I presume they saw earlier. And these are the 3 Nikes of Mattis. Dun, dun, dun. And Mattis, again, is Maxwell, Drake, and Laplace. From High Tech Toys. So that wraps up the story. We'll see in chapter 11 where things go from here. But go ahead and like, share, subscribe, comment, and I'll catch you guys later.